We are live. All right, great. Thanks, everybody, for attending. And we are still in the coronavirus, and we still have a president by the name of Trump. So you can get an idea of where we're at in this particular meditation. But what I'm going to teach about today is a process that in Buddhism we believe that there's a science involved in healing evil, healing suffering. Yeah, Buddha said, you know, I had a real problem with the process of suffering, the process of age, the process of dying, the process that people go through in a natural life. Just everybody goes through this process. Yeah, but in me, it was like I wasn't afraid of it. But it wasn't the obvious truth. Yeah, there was another truth, and it was deep within. And I learned that truth by focusing on my heart, focusing on my inner nature. Yeah, and in doing that, I became very empty. Yeah, and emptier and emptier and emptier. It became my experience. Yeah, was emptiness, and so. That was through meditation. It wasn't through guidance or any belief system. It was just by my own nature. And I found that my own nature, if I just sat and got quiet and didn't take on an attitude, yeah, of any kind, yeah, just was there, what I noticed is that I didn't have a body. I didn't have any body. I didn't have any hands. You know, I didn't have any eyes. You know, I didn't have anything. You know, what I was experiencing was a phenomenon of existence. And I had the senses to observe these things. But I didn't exist. Yeah, and I was very presently aware of that. Yeah, and more and more and more. And I became more and more aware of the fact that it's because I was looking at things from my own nature. Yeah, and my nature was from the creator side of things. So when I sat in that and evil pops up, you know, I stay in that. And in that process, the evil turned into something else. You know, even though its intention, even though its attitude, even though its own purpose was what it was. And it was evil to everybody, including me. Yeah. Except that if I remained in my nature, that evil turned into something else, and it began to transfigure and transform. First thing that happened was that it externalized. Yeah, it couldn't be a lie. Yeah, it had to be really what it was. Yeah, and if it's a demon, it's going to start talking like a demon and acting like a demon and presenting itself as a demon. So then I wasn't the only one that saw this demon. It became openly to everybody. We all of a sudden see this person going crazy and acting accordingly as to who their real true nature is, because I'm in my true nature. Yeah? And if the true nature of whatever it is out there in its own truth is evil, then it will begin expressing itself in that nature openly without any kind of inhibition. You know, so that happened a lot around me. It happened to my students. They would go through weird shit. And it would happen around me a lot. Yeah. But I learned that in the process of my meditations and emptiness, it was a cure toward the things in the world. And then I learned that there were 5 aspects of Buddha that took care of 5 major evils in the world that was causing these things that really bothered me: suffering, aging, death, you know, illness, you know, all those things. Yeah, every time it came up, they could be cured. You know, so it wasn't that it wasn't real. The focus is that it was what it is, and you know, dealing with it was different than what anybody could understand. Yeah, it needed the opposite reflection. Yeah, to get that, it's very difficult because everybody's in their demons. Everybody's got shit that they're doing. And those are elements that are distracting the process of the truth, that is trying to express. Yeah. So those elements start doing their shit, in the middle of it. And in that, the process of the virtuous qualities, the rays, the influence, that comes out is that takes care of these major 5 qualities. And those are the 5 qualities that come with Mara. In Buddhism, it's called Mara. Yeah, and that's an element, a series of elements. They first come in 5 female forms, or because they're elements. Yeah, so they come in these energies, and they're distracting in their own nature, But they're only distracting because they're trying to find the lower nature in me, and so that I would dance with that. Yeah, and since there's no lower nature sitting there, then it has no validity, and they start to just go away. That's what's in the teachings of Buddha. Yeah, and all of a sudden Mara has to show up, because the 5 elements didn't do it, and they usually do it. Just one of those would do it, but he requested all 5 to come and do their trick. Yeah, and it doesn't work. So I'm still sitting there. Mara comes, and it comes looking identical to me. Yeah, and if I say something, the words that come out of it sound like me. Yeah, and it tries to read my mind, so it knows what I'm going to say. Yeah, and it becomes a very strange experience. Yeah, so I just get real quiet, and all of a sudden it turns into who it really is. Yeah, and I'm still sitting there, and I'm still me, but it's not what it's expressing anymore. Now it is a multifaceted demon, one that you would think of in a cartoon, with horns and weird ears and a tail and all kinds of feet that stick out that have really long nails and hands that are extremely long, and just totally outside the realm of what we see walking on the street, what we see in animals. This is the demon. Yeah, and it's physically now manifested in front of me, and it can't run, it can't hide. Where before it had a name of something, and it looked just like a normal guy, and if it needed to, it would look just like a normal girl. And it would go anywhere, any way, just by this process of taking on the delusion or the illusion of whatever anybody needed to see to adapt this person as being just what they wanted to hear. Yeah, just those elements inside of a person that could be moved to have that relationship. Yeah. So this really tears up that energy of the evil force, and in my process, I'm learning this as an individual. This isn't somebody else's learning this, I'm learning this. So as time goes on, how do I share this? How do I, this is my enlightenment. It's not anybody else's enlightenment, it's only mine. So I'm sitting this and I'm just going, whoa, this is intense, and it's very, very, very real, and how do I express this process? Because I'm seeing, a manifestation of emanations of the 5 Buddhas while this is happening. Yeah. And they're me, but they're manifesting as Manjushri and Amitabha Buddha and all these different qualities, which later I explained. These are 5 Buddhas that we have to take as protection, and this is how we do the meditation to align to these 5 energetic principles of Buddha. But how I got to that was through this experience, as in time and space, living and experiencing, so that learning process is part of where I'm at in all the work that I do. Yeah, I have this thing of being able to, whatever the demon is, whether it's 100 demons or 10,000 demons or 100 million demons, whatever they are, the ability to deal with them and turn them around, get them to go in a different direction, that's what I do. So to be able to pull that off, I in my life, in my dharma, Buddha has dharma activities. Yeah, so Trump has his activities, and you can all look at that. And all human beings have their activities, and if they do something really good in life, then they're almost a saint. And just a thing. Not a gazillion things, but a thing. Yeah. Or in my case, my Buddha activities are enormous. Yeah, and they carry on around the whole world. Yeah, and if you look at the process of the world is set in a manifest, in a matrix of a form of capitalism. It's a battle of whether or not we go socialism, capitalism, communism, all these isms. Yeah, but the goal is to get to capitalism. So real rich can be really stabilized, and all this economy could be the goal, and the possibility of someone going from bottom to the top is there in the illusion and the delusion of this thing. And to me, that's the demon. Yeah. It is manifested by millions of demons. Yeah. Millions of demons. Yeah. And they make up this entire capitalistic reality. Yeah, and every person comes from their country. Yeah, so you're born right there, and if you're born either in the Labor Party, or you're born somewhere where you own land because the Queen gave your family land, and now you're a monarch or some kind of thing. Yeah, depends on your country, because if your country is really demonic, this is exactly how it works. Yeah, the demons own the land. The demons own the world. Depends on your country. Is just where you're from in your history, because you all go back to where you came from, and what you established and what you supported. Yeah, so it's really it's easy as a Buddha. It's easy to see the symptoms and heal humanity, because people end up where their karma sits, yeah, whether they like it or not, and if they do real good, they leave that place of birth, yeah, and they find a higher place where they did do fairly good in the previous life, but they were still stuck in the system of communism or, socialism or capitalism, some ism, yeah. And they were supporting it in some way, whether by the selling of your soul or the losing of your soul. Imagine a 5-year-old kid working in a factory. This is a standard England, standard America, standard. This is the standard. No one was educated. No one went to school. Yeah. Until the 1900s. Yeah. And that makes that capitalistic pyramid really real. Yeah, because people have to literally fall into this horrible hell and be manifested under those terrible circumstances. Go back to, in any country, you could be a little boy who climbs up and down, a chimney sweep, and you got black lung, and you're only 9 years old, because that's the size of a person it takes to get up and down that little tiny tube, filled with coal and all the black soot you could possibly imagine. But the inhumanness of the people who live in that house, who burn that fire, and require that child to climb up and down that thing, and put that pole down there, and pull it back up, and all that shit that comes out. Yeah. The pollution, the toxicity of being on that lower level. And you're born to be on that level. Yeah. And you got to be in that little village, in that town, where you have all the pollutants in the water, and you have all the major diseases that's going to come. It's going to come your way. Yeah. And that's just not so long ago. That's just to 1920. We just barely got out of that, 1920. And you can go back to Caesar, you can go to Italy, you can go to China, you can go to any country you want. And all of this goes on. Yeah, all of it. And poverty keeps coming in cycles. Yeah, no one ever comes out of it. No one ever, hundreds or thousands and tens of thousands of years we've been going through this. And we haven't gotten out of it. Yeah. We're not prepared for anything. Yeah. So it literally takes a healing, yeah, a metaphysical science that can adjust all those things, those elements that make up this fake pyramid. Yeah. A pyramid of capitalism. Yeah. And it requires, people to not practice capitalism or practice socialism or, and it really requires a state of enlightenment. Yeah. And that enlightenment is what triggers the higher monadic essence that affects the king that sits on top. Yeah. The president that sits on the evilest of the evilest of the evil. That's sitting on top. Yeah. It can only be affected by a very high master. And to externalize into the world, that would be the focus. Is how to heal the world is to heal the adapted reality toward money. Everybody working toward money. The existence of money and the existence of capitalism, the existence of all the elements moving together to create our chakras to go in the wrong way. Yeah? Yeah? So it requires, literally symptomatic things, a magical orchestra of difference. Yeah? It requires that. Yeah? And if you have black magic and you have ceremonial magic and you have all these things happening in the higher echelon of Hollywood and in the richer places, like Epstein, where all the rich people go to have sex with little girls and little boys, and get away with it because that's what demons do. Yeah? And demons have more money than anybody else. They are the 2%. Yeah? And whether or not they go on the good side or not, it is so minutely small on that side to find any light inside that arena. Yeah? So there's an enormous... It requires, for the symptom to heal, it requires an opposite effect at the same level, but an opposite level. Yeah? It can't be done otherwise. You're going to think revolution, because you're just going to go up one other strata in order to affect. You can't affect the whole thing. Yeah? So you think, well, I'll go into politics. I can get up to this strata. Maybe affect it from there. I'll go into the military and I'll try and make it a better military so we won't attack our own people. Yeah? I'll try and keep it from doing that. Yeah? Or I'll join, the middle class and try and rule my employees with a little bit of compassion. Maybe profit sharing or something like that. Yeah, it still never does it. Never does it. Yeah? So the whole influence it can't be done this way. Change can't be done that way. Yeah? The only way it could be done is you have to cut the head off of the demon. Yeah? You have to kill the snake. Yeah? You have to wipe it out. Yeah? It can't have any source. Yeah? And the source is in the king and the queen. Yeah? And in the president. Yeah? And the people of Chile, head guy of Chile, the head guy of Brazil, the head whoever, is the biggest demon. Yeah? And you might get a human being going in there every once in a while trying to take that job in order to do a humane act, which happens. But the demons, because there are so many, they go right directly from the mafia into higher levels of politics, like Trump. Yeah, he's just a mafioso. Yeah, the guy who was his lawyer prior to getting in was the number one lawyer for the mafia. And everything he does, the people he hires, the people he does business with, is all in association with the mafia, even Russian mafia. Yeah, so there isn't a process in this that doesn't affect what is the truth. And people think that they're going to put money, time, and energy into their work, and they've got this delusionary factor that something of equality is going to come back from this. And it never does. It never does. You're given a carrot by the devil. Yeah? And you're just biting at it like Pavlovian's dog, or a little chicken, or a monkey, you know? And it's hard to get, whether you're the president up there, or you're the clergy here, or you're the military here, or you're the middle-class asshole who runs everybody else, you know, they're still possessed by the influence of their own nature, that lower nature, yeah? You know, so there's no real way of changing these things unless it's nature. Yeah. So there's actions and activities. There's actions and activities in the Dark Lodge, and there's actions and activities in the White Lodge. But it has to come from the top. Yeah. And the top has to be exactly the same as the bottom. Can't be a difference. There can't be war. There can't be middle class. There can't be clergy. All that's gone. Yeah, middle class, war, and clergy. Gone. Yeah, gone. It serves no purpose. We all know God. You know, that's what Jesus is for. And when we look up here at the very top, who do we see? Jesus. And when we look at money, what do we see? Everybody is prosperous. Everybody's prosperous. There's no middle class. There's no military we're putting gazillions of dollars into. You know, there's no clergy sucking your money, you know, lying to you to make you believe in the politician and to believe in the military and to believe in the actions of the devil. Yeah? It doesn't, if that didn't exist, you would be free from these things that bring you suffering. Yeah? That could be old age, death, everything. All those things are inside this system that we're in. And if you go back to the Bible, you'll find that all the things of capitalism, all the things that we experience is a curse that went on Adam and Eve. It's the curse of Adam and Eve, is to be a capitalist, or a socialist, yeah, or a communist, an ism, yeah, an owner of the land. Where Adam and Eve, they didn't own land. They didn't own anything, you know? And they were in paradise, and they were in right relationship, and there was no such thing as capitalism. Everything was sharing and caring and prosperous. They didn't even require clothes, you know? It was cold, you know, of course you'd do something, yeah? But the blessings of all things was like it was an island, 75 degrees at all times. You know, that's why we called it paradise. Yeah. But when that changes and the elements change, then all of a sudden you got seasons. Yeah. And now they got to put clothes on. Now it's freezing freaking cold. Now it's like all these elements are killing them, wiping them out. Yeah, weakening them rather than giving them strength and vitality and nurturing them on a day-to-day basis. Instead, the elements are attacking them. And now they have to take care of those elements, and they have to take care of those animals. They have to take care of those plants. Become a farmer and become an industrialist and become all that they lost when they lost Eden, when they lost the consciousness that came with not having any of that Satan. Yeah, because when Satan got in charge, Satan got in charge. And that meant everything. And the only way to get rid of this thing is through the cure. And that's Jesus Christ. Yeah. Jesus Christ literally hones in on Satan. Yeah. And focuses on the curse. Yeah. Just the curse. Yeah. Just by being empty. Because this isn't what you think it is. It's a magic act. It's a curse that comes from Satan, and it's ongoing. He's got a large manifested ceremonial activity going on. Yeah? The influence of that activity is what's causing everybody what's going on. Yeah? It puts people into karma rather than dharma. And it makes people delusionary, yeah, and illusionary, yeah, and then they get prideful. And imagine you're illusionary, delusionary, and you're prideful, and you have to carry out your delusion. You have to carry out your illusion. The president says, give me 10,000 troops. 10,000 troops, yeah, and aiming at all the Americans. Yeah. What? Sir, you can't do that, you know. You know, the generals pop up, you know, they have heart. All of these are human beings. It's only at the top is where the demons are at. Everybody else is without any understanding that they're under the curse. Yeah. And that's the job of Jesus. That's the only reason why Jesus exists. It's the only reason why the dharma activity of Jesus that everybody knows about existed. Going on a cross, dying, suffering, all of those actions and activities, having all those people in my life, yeah, and having them betray me. Yeah, that's only a sixth-ray thing. It's that they had devotion to the curse. They were all cursed, yeah. So my thing was forgive them, for they do not understand. This is a curse. I'm here to absorb this curse. Yeah. And then it's not over with. Because once this happens, I'm put in a different position to where I really am back from the dead. Yeah. I'm walking and a-talking now. I'm not in any way, shape, or form a part of the curse. Where before, up to that moment of resurrection, everybody included me in the curse. Yeah. And there was no way to see it any differently. No way whatsoever. Yeah. So I immediately left there and went to a place called Srinagar. And in Srinagar, I spent until my late 90s, my life there. And everybody knew me when I was 33. So there's a lot of time I spent. I spent meditating. Yeah. So I went back to that place in this life. And I recapitulated myself for 2 months by fasting and sitting on a boat and meditating every day. I mean really meditating with radionics machines and all this stuff you would never even know existed on Earth. You know, technologies and advancements that hone in a higher form of telepathy down to cellular matter. Yeah, I was moving and communicating with the Earth and with the stars and with the names of angels. Yeah, and focusing that into the water of this planet. Yeah. And I would meditate on that and maintain that meditation in Srinagar. And that connected me to exactly what I was doing when I was there as Jesus. That's exactly what I did. Yeah? I honed in, brought all Buddhism back. I brought back everybody to write all the scriptures and everything and begin all the monastic reality and move forward toward incarnating toward Tibet. Yeah. And I was already in Tibet. I was in Srinagar, you know, which is right on the border of Tibet, in Himis, in a monastery. Yeah, so I spent most of my time there. So in this process, in this life, I went back and sat for 2 months and meditated on that life in the focusing of the dispelling of glamour, which is what I developed while I was Jesus. Yeah, while I was living in Srinagar. I developed Buddhism and all those things, but I developed the teachings of Maitreya, yeah, which is what I live in today. Yeah. So going there, it helped me recapitulate a lot of that, yeah, but it helped me help to heal this planet. So here I am, that's me, and this is, I'll play this for you. This is the place where Jesus' tomb, that's the tomb there. So I was in a houseboat just down the road from here. And I sat in that houseboat and did meditation. And this is me doing the meditation. So focus on this. It's for about 20 minutes. This is a very potent meditation. You want to watch it because I'm doing mudras that was done during the time of Jesus. And this was taught to me through Indian mysticism. Yeah. And so I practiced that for about 50 years and came up with the 7 rays of God. And I created all the pujas that are on my CDs was created by Jesus Christ. Yeah. And then when I came back, all those things came out of me over about a 1-year period. I didn't have to think of anything. They just came out. Yeah. So this is me doing it. And what you're watching here is very much you're watching Jesus Christ in meditation doing puja. Yeah. So it's pretty potent.
I am a point of light within a greater light. I am a strand of loving energy within the stream of love divine. I am a point of sacrificial fire, focused within the fiery will of God, and thus I stand. I am a way by which men and women may achieve. I am a source of strength, enabling them to stand. I am a beam of light shining upon their way, and thus I stand. And standing thus, revolve, and tread this way the ways of men and women, and know the ways of God. And thus I stand. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of physical strength. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of personal magnetism. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the power of self-centeredness and personal potency. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of the one at the center. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of rulership and of dictatorship and of wide control. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of the Messiah complex in the field of politics. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of selfish destiny, of divine right of kings personally exacted. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of destruction. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of isolation, of aloneness, of aloofness. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of superimposed will upon others and upon groups. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of love, of being loved. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of popularity. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of personal wisdom. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of selfish responsibility. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of too complete an understanding, which negates right action. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of self-pity. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of the Messiah complex in the world of religion and world need. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of fear based on undue sensitivity. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of self-sacrifice. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of selfish unselfishness. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of self-satisfaction. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of selfish service. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of being busy. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of cooperation with the plan in an individual and not a group way. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of active scheming. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of creative work without true motive. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of good intentions, which are basically selfish. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of the spider at the center. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of God in the machine. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of the devious and continuous manipulation. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of self-importance from the standpoint of knowing, of efficiency. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of harmony aiming at personal comfort and satisfaction. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of war. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of conflict with the objective of imposing righteousness and peace. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of vague, artistic perception. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of psychic perception instead of intuition. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of musical perception. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of the pairs of opposites in the higher sense. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of materiality and overemphasis of forms. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of intellect. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of knowledge and of definition. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of assurance based on a narrow point of view. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of form which hides reality. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of organization. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of the outer, which hides the inner. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of devotion. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of adherence to forms and persons. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of idealism. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of loyalties, of creeds. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of emotional response. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of sentimentality. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of interference. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of lower pairs of opposites. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of world saviors and teachers. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of a narrow vision. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of fanaticism. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of magical work. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of the relation of the opposites. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of subterranean powers. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of that which brings together. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of the physical body. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of mysterious and the secret. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of sex, magic. The power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of emerging, manifested forces. The power of the light negates the quality of the glamour from affecting you. The power of the light destroys the life behind the glamour. As a soul, I work in light, and darkness cannot touch me. I take my stand within the light. I work, and from that point, I never move. The light is one, and in that light shall we see light. This is the light that turns the darkness into day. Radiance we are and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent peace and place and bring that from thence the gift of understanding. Thus, with the light, we work and turn the darkness into day. With power upon its beam, the light is focused on the goal. The power of our united light prevents the appearance of all world glamour. The power of our united light negates the quality of the glamour from affecting all mankind. The power of our united light destroys the life behind the glamour. untruth. So let it be, and help you in your own life to end all glamour and untruth. The Son, and the Holy Spirit, all in the name of the Mother, the Soul, and the collective consciousness of humanity.
Yeah, if you listen to that puja, it's the dispelling of world glamour, and it focuses on teaching you that it's in the light. It's about the light. God is the light. Yeah, God is love. God is the light. And it's through the light, which would be Jesus or the incarnation of Buddha, the light of the world. From that light, it dispels these glamour, but it requires the individual to dispel the glamours. So all the words that I'm saying are specific dispelling and education for you to understand that these are things that I'm invoking against things that are going on in the world. Yeah, the suffering of these glamours that are expressing in the world. Yeah, they create an enormous amount of suffering, the ongoing process of suffering. Yeah, so the process of healing this has to do with vibrating at a totally different energetic reality of what goes on in and what creates and maintains capitalism. Yeah, which is inertia. Yeah, people's lack of ability to carry out a hard act to manifest a good act. Yeah, yeah. Everything that I do is hard. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, and so the process that moves through it is a certain ray energy, a certain energetic principle inside your being. Yeah, and it's harmony through conflict. Yeah, it's the ray of planet Earth. Yeah, Earth itself. Yeah. So in order for us to move things forward, yeah, it requires for everything from on high all the way to down below, to live the life of the hard, that it's hard. Yeah. That you don't, you're not born as a king. And even if you are, in your humanity, you don't allow it. Yeah, like me. Be born as Prince Siddhartha, and in my humanity, I don't allow it. Yeah, yeah. And as Jesus, I could be born as a king, which everybody thought I was, and they thought I should take the government and rule, under authority, as everybody else might do. Yeah. But that's not a power that I take. My relationship is to the earth. Yeah. So in order to deal with the earth process, it requires all the rays to work correctly, yeah, and all the kingdoms to work correctly, yeah, and for everything to be in a balanced state, it requires chi. Yeah, so for chi to manifest, it requires activities, and for every activity that I carry out, there's no support system to it. Yeah. So I could show you where I'm enthroned in Tibet, yeah? But I'm an American, just like you or anybody else out there, coming from a regular life. And only when I was 9 did they tell me that I should be doing this sort of thing. But then they kept it from me, and my parents lied about it and said it never happened. So I was totally enlightened and totally this person, but lied to about this. So there was nothing that supported me to go about looking into this and thinking that this would probably work out okay. It'd probably be the best thing for me to do. Yeah, no support system, even to the point to where I would go to the Dalai Lama and no support system. Yeah, the influence of the Dalai Lama, he was nuts, and come to find out I had a past life with him as Dorje Chungden, and he was in process of dealing with that. So in my process of recapitulation, I had to come up with, reality, things of reality. And I didn't want to think the Dalai Lama was cursed, just like everybody else. I didn't want to think the Pope was cursed, and everybody's cursed in every single way. Yeah, but they are. So that means every single thing I have to step into, every single thing. Yeah, there is no such thing as a pope. There is no such thing as a Dalai Lama. We're empty vehicles. We're enlightened vehicles. We're emptiness. We're not something. Yeah, we're emptiness. Yeah, that's our goal. Yeah, not to be the opposite of that. So here's a Dalai Lama, and he's playing out the part of being the opposite of that. Yeah. Where when I'm enthroned, I sit there and I'm about as empty as you can get. And all my activities are charity. They have nothing to do with getting people to become followers, or even sponsor or believe in me in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to go about doing what I want to do. And that means saving people and helping people and feeding people where nobody else would do it, and I spend all my time doing that. Yeah. So that changes how things are done, how things are ran, yeah? And the Dalai Lama is a different kind of character. He doesn't do things in the same way. Yeah? So his influence of what he affects in this world, because he's on top of that capitalistic thing, that pyramid, he's sitting up there in the clergy, if not a king, So here we are. That process is all on top of Tibet and the earth. It's one of the big ones. Yeah, so without any support or anything else, I have activities, and God brings people to me to help that I can be of service to. Yeah, so that's what I'm here for, is to be of service. You know, not for people to be of service to me, but for me to be of service to people. Yeah, which is a very different thing. You know, so up comes these people who need Stupa, and no one will help them with it, and I'm the only one. I know not only help them, but I figure out everything about it and all their pitfalls. Yeah. And I talk it out, and I say, okay, now these are your problems. This is where it's not going to happen. You're undecisive. You do not know where your land's going to be. You're not sure what Stupa this is going to be. You know, you're totally undecisive, and you're asking this, you know, but you don't know anything, you know. So where are we going to put it? Oh, I don't know. I have a few ideas, you know. Okay, take us to that point, you know. And they do. And I say, okay, this is the point. So, okay, what Stupas are you interested in? This stupid, that stupid, this stupid, Namgil stupid. That's it. This Namgil stupid. That's the one you're going to do. Great. All within just one day. This is like a 5-10 year program they've been working on. Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know where we're going to put it. You know. And bam, it's done. And this is on the residence of the Dalai Lama. But I happen to be with the government of Tibet. And they have authority to have 3 parcels of land to choose to put the stupa. And it happens to be the one that I chose is the one where there is a bell and a big dharma wheel. Yeah, you know, so you ring this big old bell and you turn the big old dharma wheel, and then you walk up to my stupa. And that's about as holy as you're going to get in Dharamsala, because it's the biggest dharma wheel and the biggest bell. So I said, throw my stupa up there. Yeah, and I made a really nice staircase that leads you to that stupa. You know, you can see it here. It's beautiful, yeah. And so this leads you. Imagine capitalism. In capitalism, you don't even imagine talking to the king. You know? You know, you might, oh, hi, king. You know, oh, yes. You know, all that shit, you know? You know, but you cannot imagine being in that position or having anything to do with such a thing or anything like that. But in earthly nature, in the kingdoms, when we enter into the next kingdom, which is the 5th kingdom, the kingdom of the soul, we are building stupas, and we're dealing with Buddha, and we're dealing with tearing down all this other stuff. But simultaneously, we have to build, you know, and everything we have right now is actually been created by Christ. Yeah? Even though it's all in the hands of monarchy and kings and all kinds of rich people, you know, with lots of ego, yeah? But it's still been overshadowed. It's still been moved away. We're not into as much coal. We're not into so much oil. Right now, we've got all of our oil is sitting. It's not being used, yeah? And this is totally unbelievable, you know, that our coal is not being used and our oil is not being used, all stockpiled like it's useless. Yeah, and people are living without it, you know. So it's proven something in a really big way, you know, that we as a human race live differently. We don't live the way they do way up here. So imagine, in the capitalist form, you have money sitting on top. Money is what sits on top. Well, I'm showing you what sits on top of mine. It's a stupa. A stupa sits on top, yeah. And then the person who's the Buddha, he comes from humanity. He could be a king, yeah? He could be a prince. He could be incredibly rich. But the moment he's born, he represents Buddha and the kingdom of the soul. You know? So all of that that's in the culture just falls away on him. Yeah? So any life he comes into, everything falls away. So every life is a Buddha activity. And all those lives, which has been thousands, you know, have created a field of Buddha activity that we're in now. Yeah, and we think it's this or what, you know. But the reality is it's a lot of hard work by Christ in the process of reincarnation and teaching and illustrating the new technologies, the advancements of light, the advancements of physics, what is the electron, what is the process of nutrition, what is the process of longevity, what is vitality, how does the chi work, what are chakras, how does color vibration work in electromagnetic field. All that was taught to masters in India before it came over into America or Europe or any other place. Yeah. So I spent hundreds of years fostering that higher mind into the masters, and it got funneled. It took about 100 years for it to funnel through those masters into the body of physical incarnates who became Einstein and Edison and all these people who physically, genetically were born because they're the offspring of the hierarchy. That's where humanity comes from. They're all from these people who are alive today, and they're radiating into them, and that doesn't go into action for many years, until many, many years later. It's a seed. Yeah? So when it's instilled in the masters, it begins a turning and a manifestation, and then later it becomes the physical externalization from the hierarchy into humanity. And that's how the hierarchy externalizes. They externalize through humanity. Yeah? So all of everything that I'm doing, all these pujas and everything, and me going here and, getting enthroned, and all of those kind of good things, and then setting up this, Shambhala, yeah, and creating the science that works with all these pujas, yeah, that's Buddha activity. Yeah. So if you look at this, just Shambhala, this is sitting on earth, and it is a pyramid. Now, there is a capitalistic pyramid, and then there's the pyramid of the soul. Yeah? And that pyramid is what establishes the relationship to our planet and God and all the things that we have on earth. All those influences that are us here on earth are based in this. Yeah? This sacred geomancy. Yeah? So this, when we start to realize this, and we look back through culture, we have Stonehenge and all these things, pyramids, they're all based on this through all of our ancient history. Yeah? So it's always been here. Yeah? And it saved us from this satanic process, lifetime after lifetime. Yeah? And so this takes the place of capitalism and the materialism process. It takes the place of it. And it ushers in the ability for Christ to be sitting in the opposite position of these satanic realities, having a monadic position. Yeah? And that monadic position would be the very top of the capstone of the pyramid. Yeah? Very where you see a pyramid like this. This is a little pyramid. Yeah? But this is even littler. This little capstone right there is a singular pyramid. Yeah? Now it's growing out to be this big of a pyramid. And if you look at this picture, it grows out to be from the center of the moon all the way to the center of the earth. And geometrically, those are the mathematical equations of our solar system, of our earth, our moon, our radius, and everything. That's an equation. And that equation is the same equation that goes with the equation of light. Light. The speed of light. Yeah? So here I am, the teacher of light. Yeah? The point where light is manifested. We see sunlight, we see light, we're trying to figure out the speed of light, relativity, time travel, all those things. And it's all based around light. All of it. Yeah? But light comes from Christ. Yeah? Even though we think it comes from the sun, it comes from the rays and all the energy that's coming from the sun, but in reality it comes from God. Yeah? And it's stored in Christ. And Christ then radiates that out into a small field of earth, manifesting the trees and the moon and our solar system and all the cosmos that you see and all the galaxies that you see and all the universes that you see stem from this Christ. Yeah? Just from Christ. Yeah? So that's how, such a big thing like this, how are we going to change Trump? How are we going to change, there's nothing. There's nothing compared to the reality of the light. Yeah? So my invocations and evocations are specified. They're specific towards specific glamours. Those glamours dispel the light, and they create the energy of the light, and they dispel the false light, the half-light that's sitting inside of humanity, and it creates a greater light. So that half-light is dispelled, and the greater light grows. So all of a sudden, you don't have the glamours expressing anymore. They die. Yeah, they either die from karmic activity, they can't carry out the karma of that kind of action. Yeah, there's no force of elemental congruency to allow it to manifest. People are no longer accepting it. So it's due to the monad, due to the higher mind that comes from Christ. It affects the relationship of all of humanity, of the souls of humanity. Every living person that ever takes an incarnation is soulful in this planet. Yeah, so they're all instilled with the light. And that's what dissolves the process of this capitalistic pyramid, is this pyramid here. This dissolves that process. But there has to be activity on earth. Yeah. So by me being here, I build this. Where'd that go? Yeah. So here, in building Shambhala, it manifests not just the process of a healing center, yeah, but it manifests the process of the pyramid itself in many different ways, yeah, and it empowers that pyramid, a mathematical equation, with the invocation going into it simultaneously. So what this does is that it takes the light and it dispels the glamour from the earth. Yeah, the earth itself, not from, this is from the mineral kingdom. Yeah, so there's a mineral kingdom, vegetable kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom. Yeah, so I got to make my way through the earth. Yeah, and I make my way up to the vegetable kingdom. Yeah, so I'm very adamant about what people eat. Yeah, that you're not vegetarian, that you're wholesome, you're empathetic, and you're compassionate, and you're understanding, and you have a natural form of eating habits. Like you eat light, you eat little, you eat in moderation, you know all about nutrition, and you all about organics and all these different things. Those things are necessary, and that happens by putting light into the food you're eating. Yeah, so that's where I start. I start by actively healing the earth. Yeah, and to do that, I have to go out and get enthroned as the person who actively heals the earth. So now I have tens of thousands of masters aware of the fact that I'm incarnated, and now they have to put all their attention toward me and help me further the process of the light, whatever that is, whatever I have in mind. They have full and complete belief that it is for the externalization and the healing of the planet in whatever way I'm going to do this. Yeah. So they're 100%. Even if I come out and say, I'm Jesus Christ and I'm here to practice soul therapy, and yet people in Buddhism, they don't believe in the soul, and they don't believe in Jesus Christ, and they don't believe in God. Yeah. But yet I'm the head of this thing. I 100% believe in God, and I'm a 100% Jesus Christ. So this is a big change for an enormous amount of elemental problems, yeah? And for that to change, that means that I've made it from all the physical, the mineral, the vegetable, the animal, and into the human kingdom, and then up into the higher realm of the human, the Buddhic, bodhicitta realm of that kingdom, and where that might have been twisted, where people are a little weak, but yet they're trying, and they can get a Dalai Lama or a bad Rinpoche or magic, yeah? And all those things took place. Yeah. So for me, if I have an effect over this, yeah, like Dorje Chungden is illegal and you can't practice your protector anymore in Tibet, and all these things create enormous pain and suffering in the people of Tibet. Yeah. If I can end that, yeah, if I can end the process of where that's suffering coming from. Yeah, turn that around. Yeah, that would be a major shift in the process of the potentiality of the glamours being dispelled from humanity. It's like me dealing with Mara. Yeah, and getting Mara to face himself in a mirror and realize he's made major mistakes to become Mara. Yeah, that in reality he is a mortal, not Mara. But he's a black magician who takes on ungodly frequencies of demigods, and they hone into a physical human form, and they make that person a lunar lord, and they lord over human beings because they're a human being. Yeah, and they're only possessed by demons. They're not a demon. Yeah, but they're possessed by demons, and that goes on all the way up and down the ladder to the Queen of England, to you name it. Yeah, they're possessed by demons. Yeah, so the key is to be able to purify this planet, because these people have to eat, and they're going to be purified by what they eat. Even though they've got people drinking the blood of babies, and they got ceremonies going on, and they have all kinds of horrible things going on in capitalism, making children go through labor and, work really hard at only 13 years old in sweat camps and stuff, and have other people working for just $1 a day, all around the world, so that you can have a Costco, or a Walmart, or a cheap living. Yeah. And yet you're causing your own human race to use children to favor you so that you can have it better, so you can step up a delusionary ladder of having it almost like the middle class. And in order to do that, they have to use this terrible enslaving process, because there's no money to be made in things like that. Yeah, so it has to be done by, ripping people off and stealing children's lives and paying them no wages and no place to live or sleep or family life or anything like that. This is where you get your gold. This is where you get your diamonds. This is where you get your crystals, with all those people that want to buy stones and crystals, natural. Somebody's out there digging their hands in the dirt, getting all kinds of mercury into their blood, and they're dying from it because of this greed toward the minerals or other different types of things. Yeah, and we're using other people to do it because it's too dangerous for us to do it. Yeah, but the economy that comes out of it is magic. Getting you to believe that gold is a value, or that diamonds are valuable, or anything is of value. Yeah, it's all a delusionary thing. It's a market. Yeah, and that's established through these elements. Yeah, and shutting those elements down eliminates a lot of possibility of Ponzi schemes that are going on, that are just tripling the cost of living on Earth. Imagine just 4 or 5 Ponzi schemes per country will triple the level of need for economy for that country to overwhelmingly take care of that Ponzi ripoff, where that money should have gone into a system of economy and people's employment and all kinds of things. But like Enron, these are old people, and it's not even a company. It's a lie, a big delusion. Yeah, and the ability for people to go and do those things are all about these elements. So getting the Dalai Lama to let go of the process of Dorji Chengden, and that was almost an impossibility. But by me having my activities and carrying on my activities and bringing people to England, where I brought Tibetans, and have them meet the head of the throne there of all money and own all the land in the world, little Prince Charles, the landowner of planet Earth, and have him own a Vajra now, and change things a bit. This is my activities, So by actively going about helping to manifest these things, it moves the elemental world in places where right now we would have the Dalai Lama, and you'd never know the background activities of this Dalai Lama. You'd never know that, oh, that's the wrong guy. You'd never know that the Dalai Lama himself has a past life of history and relationships that carry over into this life that he has to keep people from knowing about. You can't know that they all had slaves, when they were kicked out of China. You can't know that, the Dalai Lama himself was with the closest friends of Hitler, and that's how he learned English, and that's how he made, his relationship to coming to America or going anywhere, thinking getting out of Tibet was due to the SS relationship he had. So by the time I got to him, he was very difficult to deal with. And so I built the Stupa, I built Shambhala, I got enthroned in all the monasteries, and I began helping all of India and other monasteries throughout Tibet, India, and Nepal. And these are things that all these people are suffering, and my job is to illuminate them in light, protect them, have them know that there is a protector, and from that, they gain faith and the light goes back into their body. So then now they're doing their pujas every day, and this effectively changes the Dalai Lama. Yeah? And, so this, here you can read, the Dalai Lama has allowed the Dorje Chungden, to be practiced. That he told him it causes him no harm, it causes Tibet no harm, and that it can be carried out without any harm, which is a totally different story to where he was, just last year. So that in effect is it's almost impossible, but it's necessary, because the ability to change such a big degree of things. I mean, this isn't about just getting people to vote Trump out. It's much bigger than that. This is about saving the world. I have hundreds of years of activity to continue before this thing really takes place. And it's going to take time. Just look back at what I've done since I was born. I brought electric cars and everything. I moved Tibet into the world. We're all aware of masters and that they're good and bad, and that the Catholic Church, now we know that they're not good and that they molest and pedophiles and all that. All these things have been uncovered. And that's the time of the Lord. The Lord shines a light on the false prophets, shines a light on all the greed and corruption and everything. I'm the guy that walked into the temple and threw everything and kicked everybody out and got really pissed off. Why? Because it was capitalism or socialism or communism. And I do not stand for it. I just don't. We don't need an ism. We need freedom. We need to get rid of false teachers and false prophets. We need to find them, seek them out, and put them in jail. And not have anything in our solar plex that tells us, no, he was president, or no, he's the Pope, or no, he's been a Pope. I don't care if they're Pope. They can spend the rest of their time in jail. I do not want them leaving their job and going off into an apartment and living off the rest of their life in a nice little cozy apartment in Italy someplace, or Spain, or Brazil, wherever they all go. And they never get a bad thing ever said to them. Never feel guilty about the evil that they bring onto this earth. That has to stop. We are here for the right use of God's will. There is law. And law is the keystone to Jesus Christ. Human rights, and those who break the bond of human rights are people who are unlawful. And if we can get beyond our solar plex and be able to deal with this, we take the light that's coming from Christ, which is the strength in the heart, And we get that light coming from Christ, comes into us, and it literally begins tearing everything down. Yeah? And we find all opportunity to alternative. Yeah? What is a better alternative? Yeah? Imagine if we find a president who is really a very enlightened being. You know? And we go through, 8 years of really enlightened consciousness, and a Senate and a Congress and House of Representatives, and everybody else is enlightened. Yeah? Because you're going to try and take the time to study. You're going to try and take the time to get to know all the people who you are electing. Yeah? And you're going to try and take the time to discern and discriminate and get rid of people who are prejudiced, biased hillbillies. Yeah, that just don't care about change in the world. Yeah, they have a whole other attitude. Yeah, and the only thing that needs to happen in the world is good relationships between people, communication between people, economy between people, furthering of education of children, furthering of the ability for people to be sponsored, to become creative and active, and make their own economy. You know, not having this great big tower, of bullshit. Yeah. So it really takes a lot to transform that reality, and it takes activities, and they're all behind the scene. Yeah. So my activities are like in building Shambhala. Yeah. This is a kick in the ass. Yeah. You can't imagine building something like this. Thinking up, what is it going to be? Well, it's going to be a pyramid. And then I'm going to have monolithic domes. And no one even knows what a monolithic dome is. So I have to introduce monolithic domes. And not only do I want to put in pyramids, but I want to put domes that have pyramids over them. Yeah? And these are huge pyramids. Yeah? And yet, no one can catch up to me or anything. No one comes here to go, whoa, that is perfect in the science of this or that or anything, even physics, because it's so much further than what anybody else has ever done, even considered doing. Yeah. So this is really, really hard to do. If you can imagine, this is a hard thing to do. Yeah. So simultaneously, while this is being built, we're trying to save Nepal. Yeah. The birthplace of Buddha, and the birthplace of many of my previous lives. So in Earth, there's a great deal of light stored there by me having had previous lives there. Yeah, Milarepa, Naropa lived there. Many of my greatest friends from previous lives, we all hung out in this spot. Yeah, Mandarava was from there many times. She was from there. So let me tell you, that it got a lot of energy. Yeah, so I'm automatically drawn there. So I have to go there and set up a doctor who worked with me in the incarnation of Hanuman, and the process of bringing homeopathy and energetic medicine and everything at the highest level to Nepal, and then we create free clinics, and we teach, and we go out on the radio, and we get on TV, we educate Nepal. And we let people know that there's free clinics. So they come to the free clinic. Yeah. And we treat all their family, every single person, no matter what they got. And it doesn't matter if they're the king of Nepal or the poorest person of Nepal. This is the best medicine. So, we're free and anybody's allowed to come. So working with Nepal has been quite a process. It's been a long process. This is one of the clinics here. In this clinic, we have 3 soul-therapy rooms. And there are 3 rooms in here, and then there's the lab, and this is the homeopathy lab. And every one of our clinics is set up this way. We have a blood lab, we have everything, all of our testing is done there in-house. So we can take care of everybody's needs right off the bat. And then we go out and we do blood pressure tests, and we do TB tests, and we do, your tests for how's your diabetes, and do you have diabetes, and how do you treat yourself for diabetes. And so we take care of people in that way, and we provide food. We provide meals for children in schools, and we provide meals for people. We have a guy now who's helping to go out and because everybody's in lockdown, we have to get a truck and get all the food and collect it at his house and then separate it and bag it for every house it's going to go to. And then we pack all that up into the back of a truck and a couple of cars. And then we haul those on down the road to houses, and we start dropping them off at houses. And on this day, 45 people get fed, families. And then the next day, another 45 to 60 people get fed, families. And we just keep doing that every day, this is taking care of people for a whole week at a time. So massive numbers of people are being taken care of. And it's totally unexpected because there's no system like that. No one up here in this capitalistic system thinks like that, behaves like that, has anything like that going on. So they're turning the wheel of karma, which closes the door to your freedom of reincarnation. Yeah, you have a freedom. You have the opportunity of reincarnating as a human being in an enlightened state, more enlightened than you were when you first got here. Yeah, you have that opportunity. It's almost guaranteed. Yeah, and you can only take it away if you're in the pyramid of capitalism. You can take it away. You enter the left-hand spin of the Dark Lodge. You start by school. You start by saying mom, dad, and all these relationships and how you're supposed to behave, and all this stuff goes on into that capitalistic process, authoritarian process, just that process, keeps you into your solar plex and keeps you in a very afraid state. And then that puts you into an insecure state, and that leads you to your delusion and leads you to your glamours. And then everybody's in a delusion and a glamour, so it's just gossip. There's no real understanding of who you are or what you do or why you do what you do, because it's all just like Trump. Everybody's reacting and responding out of their emotional body, and desire to protect their physical form or their physical well-being or their money or their economy or their family or themselves. So all these things are the number one things that are what triggers humanity's process, and it is soul therapy that makes the difference. So imagine electric cars are going out and people are buying them like crazy. Well, I'm putting out soul therapy, and it's not like going on real fast, but there are thousands and tens of thousands of people who have weavers and tens of thousands of people who have head pyramids, and people who are buying these weavers and vajras and all kinds of things and pyramids that I have. I have over 4,000 or 5,000 pyramids all around the planet. All soul therapy systems. And people use them 24/7 and have the music on all the time. And it's in every nation, every single nation all over the world. So it's in a growing state where the light is penetrating, and it's people who are humans are the ones who are attracted to it. So that means that I'm effectively healing all the kingdoms to the human kingdom and raising them up to sponsor the kingdom of the soul. Soul therapy. That's all they're doing. And they know that. 9/10, they know that. They know, oh my God, I'm getting my etheric weaver. Finally, I'm getting my etheric weaver, and it comes from Jesus Christ. And this is going to help my soul. And really, they're thinking like this. There's nothing on earth that makes you think like that. Nothing on earth. Nothing. No priest, no nothing makes you think like that. And anybody who comes in contact with my work thinks like that, because it's the truth. It does save them. It does save their family. It saves them in every way. And sometimes it takes 10, 20 years before they pull it back out of the drawer, where they weren't ready for it at the time, and they just kind of lost it. Yeah, then it comes back out, and they are so charged and ready because I'm healing the world. Yeah. So I healed it enough for them to get it in an early stage, but now we're in a place where enormous numbers of people are pulling these things out and calling here and asking for pyramids and weavers, and we're not doing much of anything, to get people to buy this stuff. We don't have commercials or anything like that. So it's a lot word of mouth. It's a lot of people and their experience. So it's that energy of the light, that light. That's the energy that's going to change this entire spectrum. Because none of this exists. Yeah. If you get to understand what I'm saying, none of this exists. Yeah. Yeah. You don't exist. Yeah. This makes a sound, but it doesn't exist. It just is what it is. It's matter, it's tone, it makes a tone, has vibration, all those things. Yep, that's real. That's real. That's matter. That's inside of our world. That is how things work. If we were in space, you wouldn't hear a thing. I can blow something up and you wouldn't even see a fire. In space, nothing like that happens. It's an empty vacuum. Yeah? So we're here for a reason, folks. Isn't that pretty? You don't hear that in space. Yeah? Yeah? And on a lot of planets, you do that, you don't hear that. Go to the moon. Take your helmet off. Listen to it. You'll be dead as a doornail. Put a microphone out, No, not much going on, Yeah? Wouldn't it just go bink, Solid metal, kink, No tones, no nothing, yeah? Life is like that. We require the elements of this earth, all the things that make up this earth. It's required for me to carry out the process of healing, yeah? Because it's all those elements that force you to do the right thing, yeah? There's nothing in all of this. This is so grand, such a big, grand thing, yeah? That what we have with Trump and everything, that is a magic act. It's an illusion. Yeah? My meditation will dispel it. Single-handedly. My meditation will dispel it. Yeah? I will put light in every living thing, because I don't subject anything to the thought that my light cannot penetrate you. You don't deserve it. I don't have a choice. Yeah? It all just penetrates. Yeah, and the effect of that penetration is affected by my activities. Yeah, so all my activities, the feeding of people, the helping of people, my ability to deal with, Trump or other people and circumstances and Tibet, all these things that I have to deal with on a real reality basis are activities, yeah, that require enlightenment. And not require mundane thought or I can get someone other than myself to answer this question. Yeah, it can only be answered by me. Yeah, so those require my activities. Yeah, if I'm not doing it, it's not happening. Yeah, so everything that I'm doing is completely in reality. That's reality. Everything I'm doing is reality, but everything else outside of that is not. It's all, it exists in the etheric plane. Everything that I do exists in the etheric plane, yeah? And I'm only sponsoring the etheric plane. So everything that's in that astral plane doesn't exist. It does not exist, yeah? Because it's created by delusions of grandeur. It's created by astral perception, by astral desires, all these things that do not exist. They have to be created. Manifested by bad activity, by bad thought, by bad, all these things, they have to be created, yeah? So in the light, it keeps people from being a co-creator with the devil. And it turns them into co-creators with God, yeah? So very slowly, everybody is moved into the process of dispelling all the glamours, Yeah. So whether it takes 100 years or 500 years or another 1,000 years, it's inevitable. And there's never going to be, a super duper evil process, that comes and takes the hand of humanity and destroys humanity because they're too weak and they don't understand. I'm already here. Yeah. So the light is inside of humanity at a far greater way than it's ever been before. And that means that people have a discerning rather than an astral way of seeing things. They have a more discerning psychic way of seeing things. And that way we could collectively come together with common sense and change how something will manifest outwardly, what will be the outcome. Yeah, because just like how the masters, they receive teachings, yeah, and then those teachings become their reality, but it takes about 100 years for that to filter into the genetic stream of humanity for it to become now their reality. Yeah, so it has to go in on high first and then come into humanity. So it comes through the natural genetic stream of humanity by light passing into material. Yeah, but it had to go into the material body of a living human being who took the time to become a master. And then they received the teachings that I give at that time, which even Einstein, we didn't have an Einstein at the time. No one was able to take those kind of teachings, so it had to be given directly to a master. Yeah, and there was only like 5 or 6 masters at the time. So my entire synthesis of where we're now, able to understand physics to get to the moon, or consider all the rockets we want and land them perfectly and have computers that work really great. And that took a lot of time for me to work out with singular individuals to get the very physics down so that we could then do the mathematics and all the things it takes to get to these understandings. Yeah, but it really took down to the quantum physics of mind through enlightenment to see it in that nature, that light is like this, and the electron works. Looking deep into it, the electron works like this, and then that went into every science and everybody, and then we got TV and telephone, television, all these different things that are working out the understanding of that science. Yeah, so it's higher mind. It all comes from higher mind, and that higher mind is inside the monad. So when I'm healing humanity, I'm healing humanity to have a higher mind. That's soul therapy, rather than having inertia and be led by, just too many habits and no real understanding as to what's the cause of what's going on here. All right, so we're going to do Puja OM Meditation, yeah, and okay, we'll do the invocation first. Okay, just repeat after me. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad to guide me into the right activity and the plan, to clarify and stimulate my mind, to transform and transmute my feelings and emotions, to energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body, so there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. through this day and every day. I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the one. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, now listen to this next puja. Meditate with. We do Om every 10 seconds. But listen to the words. Yeah, because I put tens of thousands of years into this. Yeah? And there's intention behind every word. And its intention is from the future. This is what I've completed over 1,000 years from now. I've finished. Yeah, and I'm in another place. You know, most of what I have to do here is done. Yeah. So now I'm doing something else. Yeah. But I see what I've done. Yeah. And how I did it. Yeah. And I did it through this music, all the things that I'm doing right now, and I will continue doing this forever. Yeah. But the key is that the process behind this comes from a telepathic rapport that moves with humanity, that humanity has a nature in them that moves in a certain way, yeah, and it liberates them to be natural, yeah. Every single thing, it does things that you cannot imagine, how it brings so much happiness, so much joy, so much bliss, and no more suffering, no more seeing the person you love die, yeah, no more seeing and witnessing your child die, you know. No more hearing your child has cancer, you know. All those things, you know, you cannot come with any understanding. Why is this going on? How is this happening? Why me? Why my child? Yeah, yeah. And it's all caused by these things. It's all caused by these things. So I can promise you, in the time and the work that I'm doing, I will eliminate those things. Yeah. There will be none of those things. Yeah. But you'll understand why. Yeah. You'll pray with me. Yeah. You'll stand up with the light. Yeah. You'll make a difference in your actions. You'll choose and study, and you'll open your heart with study. Yeah. I have to teach and say things you don't want to hear. Yeah. And that's because you can't study. You can't look for it. You got to type it in. You got to actually look for it. You know, and there's things inside of me that make me know it, to have to go look for it, to know that it's already there. Yeah. You know, but those same things you have to become aware of. Yeah. You have to know. Yeah. You have to be sensitive enough to effectively affect people who are not around your house, who are causing harm to other people. It has to radiate out of your enlightenment that permeates their house, and it empowers the people that are disempowered, people that are being molested and beaten and harassed and manipulated. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. There are people in people's homes doing this shit, and it's hell, and it's hell to the neighbor. It's hell to them. However, it's happening. You know, in its effect, it's happening because of glamours and these elemental forces. Yeah. So until all of that is eliminated, and it can only be eliminated by awakening the etheric plane. Yeah. The etheric plane exists, but it exists with temples. Yeah. It exists with stupas being built, with an understanding behind that stupa. We don't put grave sites up. Yeah. We don't make no acknowledgement to a person, you know, like they're nobody. Yeah. We build stupas, and we wait for them to come back. And we pray for them to come back. And it means everything for us for them to come back. And honoring that process is what brings them back. It keeps a circle in our heart and their heart. And it cuts our ties to this bad karma thing of not fulfilling the wishful jewel. Yeah. Because it's the wish-fulfilling jewel that brings us to life. It brings us to our incarnation. It brings us to who we're going to be with and how we're going to be with people. But it all depends on whether or not it's in the hierarchy or it's in hell. Yeah? You know, so My work is to distribute as much of this light with as much activity as I possibly can to change this. So this puja is based on that process to change the program that goes into negative outcomes of suffering for children and people, old people, all those people. That's what this puja is for. So focus in on that and just listen closely, because in the end, as time goes on, 1,000 years from now, when I've done a lot of work and healed a lot of things, you're going to really clearly understand these words is what did that. Yeah? And that people literally followed the direction of the will of God. Yeah? And the soul is what controls the will of God inside of people. If they have a soul, they are moved by the will of God. Yeah? So this is all based on that principle. Yeah? That Christ is the will of God. God carries the soul, and the light of the soul is what dispels the glamour. All right? All right, so just relax and enjoy your puja. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, just relax. All right. Open your eyes. Yeah. So in the science of this thing, my reality is, as far as I'm concerned, is reality. And everything else is that people are in charge in the way that they are. Yeah, they can't be changed that much. And Trump is the way he is, can't be changed that much. But you'd think the Dalai Lama couldn't be changed that much either, but people can. And everybody has these rays in their system. They have a mental body ray, they have an emotional body ray, they have a physical body ray. And then some people, a lot of people, are not very evolved. So that means their physical, emotional, or mental bodies is as high as they go. Yeah, they don't really go up to the soul. They don't really go into the monad at all. But they stay somewhere down here in the physical or the emotional. Yeah. And this guy, Trump, he's right there in between physical and emotional. Yeah. He wants to be a boxer. He wants to be a wrestler. He wants to be all these things he's never going to be. He wants to be the greatest of everything, the greatest. So, that means that he's very emotional and he's very physical. He lies in order to make himself look more than what he is. Yeah. So that means that we have a person who doesn't have more than 3 vehicles working. And we have 5 vehicles to work with. 5, yeah? You have your physical, your emotional, your mental, your personality, and your soul. Yeah? And then the whole thing moves through your monad. So if you don't have your soul flowing through your personality by the fact that you have a higher mind and your emotions are under control and you have a perfect lifestyle that is peaceful and understanding and helping and serving in a dharmic way. Your activities are a dharmic activity. Yeah, you work out, you eat right, all those things, all the way from the bottom up, have to be, you can't kind of cut around it and say, well, I prayed today, therefore I don't need to exercise, or I did this, therefore I don't need to do that. Well, you're just going to end up in the same hell you ended up in this life. That doesn't help. So you need to actually focus on the lowest part of yourself, which is what did you eat and did you exercise? And then if you got through that hour of exercise and really sweated your butt off, and you eat in moderation, then your body becomes healthier. So there's your benefit. You don't know that benefit exists until months of doing that sort of stuff, and really gaining a good control over it. So you start having a less sluggish, less diabetic, less heart attack, less all these things that are just waiting to happen in the future, aren't there. Yeah. So that means your emotional body isn't going to be highly, highly, highly stirred up over the fact you're dying from what you're doing to your physical body. Your emotional body knows this, so it's there in order to make sure you do kill yourself, because it's on the lower side of yourself. So it says, well, you should eat more sugar and you shouldn't work out. Why don't you just eat half the amount of sugar you did yesterday and, you can work out in a few days. I promise you, you'll work out tomorrow. I promise you, you'll work out tomorrow. Don't worry, I promise you. You got somebody saying shit like that, and it just goes on and on. And that's your emotional body, and it's literally seducing like a drug addict has a dealer. Your emotional body is the dealer, yeah? And your physical body is your personality. And your personality is subjected to the temptations of your dealer. And your dealer is your lower mind. And it's talking out of your solar plex, and it's talking out of your hungry stomach, and it's talking out of your, because you're not eating the right things. You go through hunger most of the time, and you're malnourished most of the time. You know, so there's this constant need, and you have no way of really fulfilling it. So you can't heal that first spiritual process. You can't do it unless you take care of those things first. Yeah, so imagine, you know, Trump is like, what does he eat? Only fast food. Yeah, that's it. Why? Because he's afraid. He's a little baby. He's a little baby boy, emotionally afraid of the dark. He's a little baby boy. Somebody's going to put some horrible little thing in his meat. You know, he's a little baby boy, you know. Because there's two sides of him. Oh boy, I get to eat Kentucky Fried Chicken and nobody else gets to eat Kentucky Fried Chicken. I get to eat all the hamburgers I want and nobody else gets to eat all the hamburgers they want. And I'm going to bring everybody in from the staff and I'm going to load all the tables up with burgers and fries and, you know, like an idiot. Like a little kid at a 5th grade party. Yeah, that's our president. That's our president, because he is living in these two physical vehicles. And in order for you to deal with life, you need me as a teacher. You need to learn about the rays. A lot of people have been with me for over 10 to 20 years, but they've never taken up the book. They've never studied the rays. They don't know what it means to have a second ray emotional body, a first ray. And if they do, they study it and go, oh, I have a second ray emotion. And it's all about them. The study of the rays only all about them. It's not about learning the rays. It's about all about them. You know, so it's not a value to have people study the rays too much, because they make it all about them. And then they want to become a practitioner of the rays. Let's see what rays you have. And see, I bet you have a 5th ray soul. Yeah, I bet you do. Then everybody starts thinking, you know, this is what they figured out, you know, why you behave the way you do. You know, and that doesn't help anybody. So it's really important that we learn these rays and understand them in a way that we can cooperate with, you know, how rays work, so we can actually know that we're in our physical body or our emotional body, not about the rays, but it's what are you expressing? What are you experiencing in life? Are you experiencing fear and emotional things and stuff up here in the brain that's coming down here like that? Are you having problems with being able to eat right or do all the right things that you should do? Yeah. If that's the case, then you haven't cleared these first two vehicles. Yeah. And in order to do dharma activity, those two vehicles have to be cleared. Yeah. Or you won't have good karma. Because dharma activities is not about merit. It's about light. And you have to build light in order to create light. And you can't not foster the building of light. So it starts from down and it works its way up into your emotional body, from your physical body, into your purification of your emotional body, purification of your physical body, and the enlightenment of your mind. Through study of how to purify your physical, how to purify, you know, all these things, so that you're taking responsibility to keep your vehicles going higher. So when you have a reaction to something, you won't find out that, oh my God, I'm still in my emotional body. I have not evolved. Yeah. And you have all the opportunity to evolve if you take what I just said and follow those rules and know that you must exercise. Know that you must have a certain kind of diet that furthers a low carbohydrate reality, just so that you can heal your liver, just so that you can have fewer toxins in your body and allow yourself to detoxify consistently, you know, and not have diabetes, not have a lot of things, yeah. But the easiest thing for us to do is learn how to heal our physical form, and, you know, by exercising it and eating right, and then learn how to deal with our emotions correctly. And you can't deal with your emotions unless you deal with your physical form first, because your physical form releases. That's why it's called exercise. It's an exorcism. Yeah? So you're exercising. Yeah? And if you don't exercise, guess what? The demon you woke up with this morning is still there. Yeah? And you're better off exercising, because you just don't know what you got in you. Yeah? And in the end, it's going to kill you, and it's going to make you suffer like you can't imagine, because you never got rid of them. Yeah? And you need to clean the house. You need to do. Okay? Make sense? Yep. Read that in a book. Okay? Enjoy.